Date, October 22nd, 2016. Location, Willow Bay. A 14-year-old boy, Marcus Riley, had grown up in a world that seemed to resist change. Born in a hardship, he was part of a legacy etched with salt water and quiet suffering. His life had shaped him in ways his peers could never understand. He could read the sorrow in his mother's eyes long before she spoke a word, an ache masked by the pungent smells of rust and decay. His dark skin, like the shadow of a storm at sea, had been weathered by time, much like the hands that were already rough from work. Hands that held stories of resilience no one his age could comprehend. Marcus lived with his mother, Sarah, and his younger brother, Eli, in a rundown, single-room cabin near the docks of Willow Bay. The beach was a place of gray, with no gleaming waters or golden sands. Instead, the ocean here was a force, constant, unyielding. The Riley family had once run a modest boat repair business, but the sea had slowly swallowed it whole. Their shop, Riley's Coastal Repairs, stood abandoned on the edge of town, surrounded by rusted parts and forgotten tools. A faded sign hung above it, creaking with the wind, much like their will to survive. Marcus's world had fractured 3 years ago when a sudden storm hit, a tempest stronger than any they had witnessed. His father, David Riley, a man of unwavering pride and unshakable resolve, ventured out to help a luxury yacht that was in danger. He'd always said, "We keep this place running by fixing things, son." But that night, he didn't come back. No sign of him was ever found, only wreckage drifting miles away, a quiet reminder of the sea's power. The loss left a hollow silence in their home, one that Marcus could never quite fill. That night, as the storm raged, Marcus stood by the window, unable to stop his father, yet too old to forget. The storm didn't just take his father. It took the last remnants of stability and hope in their lives. His mother, Sarah, once full of life and laughter, had become a shadow of herself. She moved through life as though on autopilot, working tirelessly at the shop, her heart weighed down by grief she never spoke of. Despite her efforts, the customers stopped coming. The world seemed to favor the shiny, corporate marinas, leaving families like the Rileys behind. Marcus, now the man of the house by necessity, took up the mantle. He worked in the shop every day, cleaning engines before dawn, fixing leaks in the blistering heat, and gutting fish with his brother, Eli, by his side. His clothes always reeked of salt water and oil, his shoes barely held together, but he never complained. The world may have been small, but his dreams were enormous. Quiet ambitions that no one knew, but he held them close. When a school expelled him for unpaid tuition, no one asked why he stopped attending. Marcus sat on the school steps for hours, holding textbooks he could no longer use. Meanwhile, the shop continued to fall into ruin, with buckets catching water from a leaky roof and the lights flickering, not from power outages, but from unpaid bills. Marcus began rising even earlier, fishing in deeper waters, hoping to catch something that could be sold. On many days, the shop remained closed, and there were nights they went hungry. But Marcus endured. At 14, he'd buried his childhood beneath the weight of survival. He didn't laugh, didn't dream. He simply lived. Then, one morning, a sleek, white motorboat glided toward their dock, a vision of luxury amidst the rusting vessels. Marcus wiped his gritty hands on his jeans, watching as the boat sputtered and stalled. A tall man, dressed in a sharp suit, stepped off. His hair was silver, unruffled by the sea breeze, and his cold blue eyes swept over the yard with unnerving familiarity. "This your shop?" the man asked, his voice smooth, carrying the weight of someone accustomed to wealth. Before Marcus could answer, his mother Sarah emerged, wiping her hands on a rag. "We don't usually see customers like you," she said, her eyes narrowing. The man smiled. "Engine blew. I couldn't make it back to the city. Thought I'd give you a try." "Marcus can take a look," Sarah replied after a pause. "He's got his father's hands." The man raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. Marcus stepped forward, his hands already grabbing the necessary tools. The engine was an easy fix, clogged coolant lines, and a broken impeller. He worked deliberately, taking his time while the man watched him intently, never blinking. When the engine roared to life again, the man handed Marcus a crisp $100 bill. "What's your name, son?" he asked. "Marcus. Marcus Riley." The man repeated the name slowly. "I'll be seeing you again." And just like that, he was gone. The next morning, a black car pulled up to the shop, and out stepped the same man, Mr. Victor Blackwood, now wearing a navy blazer. His eyes scanned the shop with a mix of curiosity and calculation. He offered Marcus a full scholarship to Cedarwood Maritime Academy in New York City, covering tuition, room, and board, and a stipend for the family. It sounded too good to be true. Sarah was suspicious, but Mr. Blackwood only smiled, saying, "You remind me of someone who never had a chance." Weeks later, Marcus found himself in New York, his backpack still smelling of diesel. Cedarwood was cold, pristine, and full of privilege. The students, all polished and well-dressed, looked at him with thinly veiled curiosity. Trevor Donovan, heir to a shipping fortune, called him a janitor on his first day. Professors doubted his abilities, but Marcus said little. He watched, he learned. It was here that he met Naomi Carter, a fiery girl from Brooklyn with a sharp tongue. They became fast friends, her cleverness complementing his mechanical genius. But something about Blackwood's frequent visits seemed off. Coach Simmons, a retired naval officer, took Marcus under his wing, hinting that there was more to Marcus's story than he knew. Then, a letter from home arrived. The family shop was being seized, and someone had come asking questions about Marcus's father's death. Determined to uncover the truth, Marcus dug through old files and discovered something horrifying. His father had not died fixing a tourist yacht. The boat was a prototype from Blackwood's own company, a failed experimental engine that had been covered up. The photos showed his father and Blackwood together, working with Navy contractors. His father had tried to expose the engine's flaws, but Blackwood had silenced him. With Naomi's help, Marcus uncovered more gag orders, hidden settlements, and other deaths. Blackwood hadn't rescued him. He had lured him in to rewrite history. Marcus wasn't his pawn. At the Academy's Maritime Expo, Marcus exposed the flaws in Blackwood's engine, triggering a catastrophic failure. "This engine killed my father," he declared before the cameras, and the room erupted. Within days, lawsuits poured in, and Blackwood's empire began to crumble. Marcus returned home, redesigned the engine, and started his own company, Riley Marine Technologies. Naomi became the head of operations, and Coach Simmons mentored the apprentices. Even Trevor, regretful, joined the company. Together, they expanded their business, uplifting young people like Marcus once was. A year later, Marcus stood on a new dock beside a boat he'd built, the Storm Chaser, staring out at the vast ocean. "You didn't take me," he whispered to the waves. "You made me." And with that, Marcus Riley set sail, not to escape the past, but to carry it forward.